now from Melbourne Park, ESPN2 exclusively presents the Australian Open. ESPN2, the Grand Slam Network.
To be precise, he's won 6 Grand Slam titles, including here 2 years ago. To be concise, he's the best. No real weakness, no noteworthy flaws. To be clear, he's been cruising, yet to drop a set. To be honest, you'd have to say he's heading for slam number 7. To be fair, well, it really isn't fair for the rest of the field when he's on his game. To be Roger Federer is to be the star in prime time at the Australian Open. A warm midsummer night in Melbourne. It's the Australian Open in the second largest city in this country of Australia. 2006 Open reaches the first weekend, Saturday night, and Roger Federer, the #1 player in the world, will be on court against Max Mirnyi, his close friend, the 30th seed. And there is Federer. His target, his 7th Grand Slam championship, halfway to Pete Sampras's all-time record. He has played flawlessly thus far, no surprise there, and Max Mirnyi will bring his big serve and volley game and oppose him tonight as we welcome you to ESPN2's coverage. It's Saturday afternoon back home, and that reminds me of my days doing college basketball. It was Al McGuire on this side and Billy Packer. You guys can go at it all you want.
I'll tell you, I don't know how I got this lucky. I got my man Cliff, who's shown me the ropes in this business the last 8 years, and then you, how many Super Bowls did you call? I listened to.
I think 7, 8.
70 years of experience here, so we're doing okay.
All right, but this is part of the Super Bowl of the Grand Slam schedule as we open things here at the Australian Open. And when you have the best team in the world or the country or the best player in the world, 2 things come to mind as we anticipate their performance. One, the upset. You know, you always like the underdog to give a good performance. And the other is, even if that doesn't happen, if the team is that good, you know you're going to be able to watch something special.
Well, you know that with Roger Federer, and that's what makes watching him, Dick, so special. I mean, when you think of him now, I have to think of history, because this guy's been that dominant. This 2-year span that he's put together has been one of the most dominant, if not the most dominant 24-month, a little bit plus in history. He's won 5 majors in the last 2 years. That record you see there since 2003, this first Wimbledon title, 59-4, is absolutely phenomenal. He's held the #1 ranking now for 103 consecutive weeks. Even on the regular tour, he's dominant, lost just 10 matches in 2 years. And, you know, yes, there are some guys that can challenge him. Yes, he's been beaten, Dick, in the last couple of years. But my feeling is that he's just chasing history. He's chasing the Lavers, he's chasing the Borgs, and he's chasing the Samprases.
And loving every match of it. You've used a couple of books of superlatives just describing his play, Cliff, and there's so few that have challenged him seriously. That's the spice of this match tonight.
Well, you have to try to figure out who can beat him, Dick, and I've been looking at some of the matches that he has in history lost at this championship. A couple to Arnaud Clément, for example, very dogged competitor, and then David Nalbandian. He lost to him last year as well, and he's beaten him here as well. This is a guy he never let go. He's a bulldog, you know. The other one that he lost to was in the semi-final last year. That's to Marat Safin. Now, in Safin's case, we're talking about just another sort of genius of the game. He's hardly a dogged competitor, but he was on this day, and that, by the way, was a match point for Roger Federer. So this thing could not have been any closer. And then I should say, mention as well, that this was the only outdoor hard-court match that Roger Federer lost all year. So he was nothing short of brilliant, but that's the kind of tennis. You have to have that kind of game to beat him. and there are very few of them left, frankly.
And Max Mirnyi gets that challenge and call tonight. By the way, the man that we're talking about, Roger Federer, has won 47 consecutive hard court matches. The old record was Sampras at 34, so he's just moving everyone aside as he progresses through this Grand Slam season. And will this be his number 7? Federer and Mirnyi on a Saturday night in Melbourne.
ESPN2's exclusive presentation of the 2006 Australian Open. Brought to you by Oppenheimer Funds, the right way to invest. And Saab. When you used to build jets, you don't just build another car. Saab, born from jets.
Rod Laver Arena sold out, 15,000 plus. The roof is closed. The weather has been just tormenting today. Temperatures up to 105 degrees. It's 84 degrees tonight. And of course, under the roof with some air conditioning, while it's plenty warm for players, it's at least comfortable for fans. Well, the United States in this first Grand Slam of the year, and it's been whittled down to just 2 players as Andy Roddick is left. Ginepri, Blake Dent, Bogomolov, and Delic have all been defeated early in this first week. Roddick will play tomorrow. As you see, those that arrived here in Melbourne with high hopes but were quickly dismissed. And for the women, much the same. Only one left, the #1 player in the world, Lindsay Davenport, whose last Grand Slam title was here 6 years ago. And she meets Kuznetsova, the U.S. Open winner a couple seasons back, in the next round, the round of 16. And there are the other women who just unable to put the game together to advance into this first weekend. And this man, for him to be defeated would be about the same odds at the local bookmaker as a snowball fight here in Melbourne tomorrow.
That's not good. That's not good news for Max Mirnyi, Dick. Roger Federer, 24 now, just compiling just scary numbers the last couple of years. As you mentioned, Cliff, losing just that one match on hard court. That was, of course, right here at Murat Safin.
To show his dominance, Cliff, the last 215 tournaments, 215, he has lost 12 times.
Look, Patrick said a few times that this is the best player that he's ever seen. You know,
that's just because I was listening to you, Cliff.
Well,
I heard you say that.
Well, the point I'm going to make is that I've seen more than you have because I've got a few more years than you.
Right. You're getting there. Okay.
I go back to the days of Lever, and I love the way that the Rocket played. But this guy has got more game than anybody I've ever seen. That's the best that I can say.
Better than Lever.
Yes. Yeah, I played Rocket many times, and I think the Rocket, he said it himself, actually. The Rocket is said.
Federer serves first. You see he's got that ankle wrap on the right ankle. He was missed about 6-7 weeks late in last season. And I know you want to talk about this as we progress in this match, Cliff, that one of the things that has impressed you is how he has improved over the last couple of years, his backhand wing. And he shows it right off the bat.
To me, Dick, it goes a little deeper than that. It's his head that you're looking at. It's between the ears that he's become so good now. You win as many matches as he has won. You get confidence, and when you put that all together.
And a quick early 40-love lead. Well, you can go one of two ways, can you not? It's building confidence or increasing boredom, that it's too easy, and he certainly isn't going down that path. And an easy hole to open the match. Max Mirnyi, they call him the Beast. Actually, a good friend of his tagged him with that moniker and did it in a kind way. He says it's a beast to play against him, nothing to do with his physical nature, although he's big enough, 6'5" and 205, the man from Minsk in Belarus. And he and Federer have a very close relationship, so close that when Mirnyi considered his wedding party, he asked Federer to be his best man.
And Roger was going to be there, except something called the Wimbledon Championship got in the way. He won that in 2003, his first, and then of course he had all these press and international media stuff to do, so he wasn't able to make it. But Cliff talking about between the ears is so right, and we sat there when Federer won his first Wimbledon title, and the emotion that poured out of him that day was really touching to see, because you could see how much it meant to him. And once he got a taste of that, once he got a taste of winning that Grand Slam title, that's what has spurred him on to just get fitter, to get tougher.
That's the Mirnyi game. They have met 8 times on the tour, the major leagues, and Mirnyi has a couple of wins against Federer, but those were 3 years ago.
Should mention that they played in an exhibition event here in Melbourne just before this thing started, and they got to a tiebreaker in the 3rd set. It was very close. Look, Mirnyi has got a big game. He's 6'5", as you can see. He's a huge guy. He's a gentle giant, frankly, but he serves out of a tree, and if he can serve really well, it's going to test Roger.
Yeah, and I think the key for him, Cliff, is going to be the first serve percentage, because if he gives Federer a lot of looks on the second serve on this surface, which the ball really sits up, that's what's going to happen. And that was a good second serve. That was 190 kilometers.
That's
comes out to about
136 miles an hour. Huh? That's his fastest so far. 118.
118 on the second. I mean, that's a big second serve. Roger just met it cleanly. Another thing I like about Mirnyi's game is he's got such a great wingspan. He moves very well forward. He doesn't cover the baseline that well, but coming forward, he's very quick. Watch where he can hit that first volley from. He'll be around the service line or inside the service line, and that's a key to his success. I'd like to see him mix up some speeds on the first serve tonight as well. There's a big one at the body.
133 mile an hour winner, and they're 1-all.
Isn't it nice to see guys do a little serve and volley? There are so few of them left. You have to have Max Mirnyi's kind of juice on the serve to be able to make it even possible to do that. But he has that, and he does come in.
And you sense that Federer, being so complete and so proud and so motivated to continue to be better, that he relishes the chance to meet a man like Mirnyi, who is going to attack. On the line.
I mean, Federer's been so dominant the last 2 years, but it wasn't always that way for Federer. I mean, the first couple of years he's on tour, as you see this wicked forehand from Roger, the deadliest shot in the game. He struggled early on in his career in the majors. I think the reason he struggled is he just had so much game, so many options, that it took him a while to figure it out. 28 and 16 in his first 16 majors he played, and since winning that Wimbledon title, of course, 6 titles, 59 and 4 in his last 10 majors.
Throws in his first ace. Oh, a rare error. Well, you can spend a half hour just going down all of the records, and he has compiled and continues to chase. But another that isn't mentioned often is the fact that he won back-to-back Wimbledon and U.S. Open consecutive years. You have to go back to Don Budge in the 1930s for someone that's done that. Roger Federer. Max Mirnyi. Those 3 games show you what they're going to bring tonight.
It was a good year. I was very happy about it.
Last year we found out about the genius and the talent of Roger Federer on the tennis court. This year we found out about his medal.
I was quite surprised. I backed up 2004 so well, you know, and hardly lost matches, and again, you know, defended 2 slams out of the 3. You know, now that the new season starts, and obviously starts with a lot of pressure because I want to do well again. It was a great year, 2005. Unfortunately, it's all over, and I got to start it all over again. But still, I'm excited about it.
And excited he is. He says he could walk away and not win another match, and he'd still be proud of what he's accomplished. But on the other hand, he just feels there's ways he'll be better. And his attitude and his effort on the court matched by all he does away from the game to help even us blokes in the media.
There is no nicer person in all of sports than Federer. He understands his obligation to tennis. He handles the media expertly. You'd have to go a long way to find anyone says a bad thing about Federer, as a professional or as a person.
Lost in the semi-final here at the Australian Open to Marat Safin, and again at the semi-final in Paris to Rafael Nadal, and then won Wimbledon and the US Open, as you mentioned, Dick.
Defeated Roddick again at the All England Club. Roddick, the number 2 seed, plays tomorrow.
May not happen, but it sure looks like a Roddick-Federer final here in Australia.
How do you judge Roddick's play this first week?
He's been terrific. Dick, he's really played well. He's served well. Has had no trouble yet.
He also hasn't faced anyone really yet worth talking about. So we'll find out a lot more in the next couple of rounds. Baghdadis next for Roddick. Could test him a little bit, but quarterfinal is really going to be a test. Either Ljubicic or Johansson, either one of those guys could give Roddick a very tough match.
And there's the break chance for Federer, 15-40.
And Mirnyi guessed right there in the passing shot, but the ball had so much pace and so much action on it. And Federer's forehand is just wicked with all that spin he creates, and Mirnyi just could not handle it.
By the way, Mirnyi's got a nice sense of humor as well. You know, he says, if I weren't a tennis player, I'd probably been a basketball player. Both my parents are athletes. Mom swam professionally until she had me. My dad plays volleyball, handball, so he said I probably wasn't meant to be a mathematician.
Got some great genes.
Is that how we got into the TV business too? We weren't meant to be mathematicians?
Well, Mirnyi continues to charge, but overpowered in that game by the returns of Federer, and he leads 3-1. The winner of this match knows the opponent in the round of 16, and he's one of the hot players in the last few months. Tommy Haas continues to impress. He won earlier today.
Yeah, and he played against Federer in this warm-up tournament and beat Federer, by the way. It was not an official event. I want to emphasize that.
Wow.
Let call from Carlos Bernardes, a Brazilian in the chair. Pass from Mirnyi.
15 all.
America, constant companion, business manager, scheduler, confidant. It's a good partnership. Part-time basis, the great left-hander Tony Roach, Aussie, in the camp of Roger Federer.
And for the second straight year, Dick, Federer spent quite a bit of time in Australia in December working with Tony and training. He's so professional, Roger. In the way he prepares, you know, he gets to tournaments so early, even the smaller tournaments on tour. He went back to the Middle East just before the new year to play in Doha for the second straight year. He won that tournament again to start off 2006, then came back to Australia.
Ace number 3, and a point for a 4-1 lead. Places the ball so magnificently. How sweet are those hands? 4-1 opening set. Third round action. Max Mirnyi seeded 30th, ranked 34th, and #1 Roger Federer. Mirnyi, 6 consecutive years in the top 50, and he's got some big wins.
Oh, with that type of game, you know, he can press guys. Lost to Federer there in 2004, but he beat Kierten when Gustavo was #1. Even beat Kierten on clay. How about that? In Hamburg. And then in Rotterdam, that was indoors. He took out then #1 Marat Safin.
Also beat Jim Courier when he was #1 in the world, and he said that he felt that was a statement from somewhere telling me that I belong in the circuit of better players, and gave him a huge boost of confidence.
Age 13, his father sent him alone to the States, Brooklyn, to relatives. And there for almost a year before he migrated south to the Bollettieri Academy, and he's quick to credit Nick and that academy for his tennis success.
He also beat Leighton Hewitt in Sydney at the Olympics.
He also won the U.S. Open doubles title with Leighton Hewitt. The year before, Hewitt won the singles title there.
And won 3 titles with the man he is facing tonight, Roger Federer, earlier in his career. They were a doubles partnership. Big ace wide at 133 miles per hour.
Here's the good news, bad news for Mirnyi. He's serving at 79% first serves, and he's already down a break. I like what he did there. He took a little speed off the ball, hooked it out wide. You cannot be predictable in any way against Roger Federer, even with major heat off the serve, because then he'll get on that. He'll block it back.
Well, we've seen what he's done to Andy Roddick match after match, diffusing his power.
I guess it's sort of like pitchers when trying to pitch to Barry Bonds when Bonds is, you know, not missing anything. It's like, what do you throw at? You can't throw the same pitch twice.
And they won't let you tuck the ball in your back pocket and not let him swing. Huh? And a good service game for Mirnyi, but it's Federer 4-2.
You know, unlike in baseball, Dick, you can't walk anyone. You can't walk Roger Federer.
No, it's just a derby. It's like a fight, isn't it? Mirnyi said yesterday, because you guys were talking about what good friends they are, at this moment I can proudly say that Roger, along with his wonderful family, are the closest people to me on the tour.
I think that raised some eyebrows. People didn't realize how really solid these two guys are. Caught the line.
Patrick, we've been talking about how this court suits Roger Federer and his game of spins.
You know, this court really takes a spin, as you know, Cliff, and shot spot shows it just barely caught the line.
15.
And Federer had, you know, even on the serve, you get that action, that kick. This court's made up of old tires, so it's bouncy. It's got spring to it, so it takes the kick, and if you hit the slice, it takes the slice as well.
13-15.
And Federer, I mean, he can consistently, when he wants to go to the power, serves in the 125 to 130 range, even a little higher. That one was at 122.
There's an example of Federer's great accuracy, Dick, with that second serve and the kick as well, because Mirnyi wanted to come in. He was looking to attack that, but Federer knew it, went out wide, and then that gave him the setup on the forehand.
Beautiful footwork by Federer.
Oh, just like a dancer, huh?
5-2, opening set. Federer in charge.
Federer leads by 5 games. Few ball.
He's being compared to the great red-headed rocket Rod Laver, and he's playing in the arena named after the Hall of Famer. And Federer, on his love of this sport, I'm not playing to break records, I'm playing to enjoy myself. I love the game no matter how it's going. If I never win a match again, I'll walk away, love the sport. That's what matters most in the end. I feel a great pride in being #1 in the world and representing my sport, and that for me is more important than anything. Oh my, a gift from heaven, this man.
And look, he means it too. I mean, this is not an act.
And that's why, guys, I feel like Federer is very capable of breaking all those records because of that, because he loves it so much. He loves to compete, and his drive will be there through the years. And I think that's what gives him a great chance to break Pete Sampras' record. 14 major titles.
Mirnyi, 2-5, serves to stay in the opening set. Athleticism of Federer going high on the backhand to win that point.
Low 15.
Fastest to 6 Grand Slam titles. 26 events before Federer won his 6th, and Borg only 17, as he dominated both the French Open and Wimbledon in his early years.
I have to say, guys, you know, when I hear that talk from Federer, I have to admit I think of the Williams sisters and where they are now, because, you know, obviously as great as they have been, and they're already both, Serena and Venus, going to go down in history as 2 great champions if they never even play again. How much do they love the game? How much do they love to be out there? I know they're great competitors, we've seen that, but how much do they just love to play? And I think that question is something that, you know, they need to is going to answer, you know, how much more success they're going to have.
It's not just how much they love to play, but even how much they love to practice.
Yeah. Oh, that's what I mean. Yeah.
We should mention both the Williams sisters are out of the Australian Open. Venus in the first round and Serena going out yesterday.
You would have choked on those words 3-4 years ago.
Yeah.
First week, both gone.
Never happened before.
Oh, that's a nice.
Oh, and he
nice
almost
spot.
got it. He almost got that.
He did. And it was absolutely perfect placement and deep in the corner, and Federer still had a close play. Mirnyi trying to keep this opening set alive. Serving 86% first serves. Mirnyi hanging on by his nails. He does hold, and now Federer 5-3 for the set.
Federer leads by 5 games to 3.
You see the Federer of today at 24, and it's almost hard to believe that as a teenager he had a temper, and there were some long drives to and from tournaments with his father and no words spoken. And how he's been able to temper all of that and grow, mature as a superstar. Channel that energy in such a positive way now.
Too long.
2 points from the set.
Ball too long.
Well, if Federer was grading himself and gave A's to the various elements of his game, there are a lot of A's there. The only B might be volleying, but that's only because he doesn't come up there that often, doesn't need to. Huh?
Might be what, volleying for Federer?
Yeah.
He's got a terrific
You give him an
volley.
A too. There.
Oh, yeah. He really does, Dick, and the guy's transition game to get to the net is spectacular as well. So, no, that's not a weakness.
But if he was critiquing himself, he thinks that maybe he can be better.
Okay, that'd be good.
6-3, he's up a set. Beautiful night in Melbourne on the southeast coast of Australia. 3.5 million people, second to Sydney in population, and Roger Federer owns the opening set 6-3 with Davis Cup captain Patrick McEnroe and superstar Cliff Drysdale.
What a
you know, in
treat
his
this is,
days
I'll tell
when they played the Australian, you came over by boat. It took you about like Columbus. What did you had to, did you come through the Straits of Magellan? How did you get over here?
I've blown so much smoke, Dick. I love it. For me, the tournament so far has been about the loss of the Williams sisters and Martina Hingis on the other hand. And in the women's, Dick, I mean that Hingis story is really a great one.
I think that's one we're all anticipating tremendously. See just how far in her comeback she's going to be able to place herself in this championship. And she's got a shot to go all the way to the semis.
She's got a real good shot. I mean, Clijsters is in her section. She would play her in the quarterfinals. I think that's going to happen. If Clijsters is healthy, I think she'll be able to beat Martina up pretty good. But that's the big question. I certainly hope that this has been a wake-up call of a tournament for the Williams sisters. I hope they get it back together. I want to see them with that feistiness, with that competitiveness. So I hope they come back and are, whoa, a beast. What happened there? And that they're factors, the rest of the year.
And for the men, there really hasn't been that headline story yet, has there?
No, but this guy is a headline story. Can he win the Slam? We were talking about it this time last year, Dick, as you remember. And then when he lost in the semifinal, you couldn't talk about that anymore. I don't think that's going to happen this year.
I mean, I think the big story so far for me, Dick, and the men is Leighton Hewitt. I think, look, he goes out early here in the second round. Can he stay in the top? He's going to drop out of the top 10 when this tournament is over, because he reached the final last year.
He had just so little punch in his loss to Chela. 15-30. Of course, this is the start of the Grand Slam season, the Australian, and then on to Paris for the French Open, and that's the slam that Federer has not won, lost to Rafael Nadal in the semis last year. And just like Sampras and so many of the Americans, that, including John McEnroe and Jimmy Connors, that was the Grand Slam event that eluded them for the full package.
It's going to be the toughest one for him to win, too. There's no doubt about that.
Of course it's going to be the toughest one for him to win. Cliff, he's won all the other ones already.
Good point. Good point.
You can argue with him, Cliff. You don't have to take that. You see what happens when he wins the first set. He knows how to close the deal.
14-13.
And Mirnyi trying to get off on the right foot here in the second set. Broken just once. The only break points of the first set, and Federer quickly capitalized. It's a shame that injuries have cost this Australia Open 3 of the top men in the world. Andre Agassi hopefully is going to return soon from his ankle injury. Rafael Nadal, who played Federer a very tough match here at the Open a year ago. And defending champion Murat Safin.
Look at Roger Federer here in the first set. I mean, the guy, if you can just follow this and check out his versatility, that serve, and then he hits the backhand pass, then that one he takes out of the air with a forehand. That is not an easy shot to hit. And then the ace.
Incredible control, as always, with that forehand. Look out, Pete, Max. First point on Federer's serve here in the second set.
15 love.
Yeah, it was too bad for the men's event here, Dick, to lose. Obviously, the defending champ, you know, Agassi, who's won this title 4 times, who always relishes coming down here in these conditions. But the guy who would have, I think, really been tough to beat here, it was Nadal. I mean, the way this surface is playing, pretty slow, bouncing high, he would have been very difficult with all that topspin on his shots to contend with on this surface.
Yeah, the fans are here for the Swiss with nary a miss.
And for the Swiss miss.
That's right. Martina Hingis, and it could be a big Australian Open for Switzerland.
Did you see how much spin was on that ball, that rotation that Federer gets? Just on that replay, you saw that backhand dipping down. And that's what makes Federer so unique, is that he can hit that off both sides. Tremendous racket speed and timing.
Hand placement as he registers his 4th ace, 1-all in the second. Well, these games have been quick, haven't they?
Yeah, and for a little too quick for my liking. I like the way that Mirnyi plays, Dick, but I would have liked to have seen somebody who forces Federer to use his court craft a little more, because that to me is one of the most fascinating things to watch. As Patrick calls it, his transition game, his volleys, when he's got to use the whole arsenal.
15 love.
His first 2 matches in straight sets consumed only 2 hours and 35 minutes, so an hour 17 plus in each match. So he hasn't had to stay out in this withering heat of Melbourne very long this week.
Well, remember, the withering heat has only been here the last couple of days. The first 3 days were terrific.
It's when I arrived that they decided to go over 100 every day.
All the hot air came in, Dick.
That's right. Well, thank you very much. Moving along, we pick up action. The extreme heat conditions have been imposed the last 2 days, and closing the roof and canceling play on the outside courts. And it's expected to be hotter than ever tomorrow. Up to 110 is the prediction.
30-15.
I like the way Mirnyi's at least changing up his serve pattern now. He's changing speeds. That time he went into the body, Federer was able to get out of the way. Block the return down low. Two of 6 for Mirnyi on second serve. Still amazing. His percentage is 81% on first serves. Oh, there's a double. It's first.
30.
It's a big guy, and he uses his height well on the serve. In fact, the mechanics on the serve, to me, Patrick, are very smooth, good rhythm, and very good balance.
Yeah, and nice the way he moves forward, so it takes him into the net.
First.
So by the time he finishes that motion, he's already 2-3 steps into the court.
And don't you feel that when they post a draw for any tournament, every player looks down the line, they hope that name Mirnyi isn't too close to their name.
Yeah, really.
Except maybe Federer figures, is there anybody that he worries about?
No.
That's another class.
But Mirnyi strikes little fear in most of the guys on the tour. Tough to play.
Oh, cannot miss that from Mirnyi. He took too big of a swing. He was there. He read the passing shot. It's just the margin when you're playing Federer is so small. And a couple of costly mistakes that could cost Mirnyi here early in the second.
Break point for Federer. Good serve. Erases that chance.
It's got the feeling that these players go out there and when they're playing Roger Federer, they feel like they're walking a tightrope. One misstep and your history in a heartbeat.
What a return. Second break point in this game. Bails himself out with another big serve. And Margaret Court Arena, the third largest of the stadia here in Melbourne Park. And Nikolai Davydenko, the number 5 seed, has defeated the Aussie Healy in 4 sets. So that's the last of the Australian men in the championship as Federer pinpoints that backhand down the line and a third break point.
Well, Cliff, this is what you love about Federer's game, the chip and then the whip.
Right, look at you see how that ball, I mean, the slice and then the topspin. I love it.
Unbelievable to watch.
Why hasn't Mirnyi done better at Wimbledon, P-Mac, with his huge
I think because
serve?
his return, very, not consistent enough on the return.
That's his second ace.
Last year he made a little bit of a run.
Yeah, got a 4th round.
That was the first time he'd won, more than a few matches.
No, a couple of times.
Couple times?
Yeah. Yeah, last year and then in 03 he was in the 4th round as well, but
the way they've slowed the courts down at Wimbledon,
it
Cliff,
hurts him.
You really need a good return game there.
Actually, he's had trouble here the last 4 years, lost in the first round. Hard to figure. His best Grand Slam effort was a quarterfinal appearance at the U.S. Open in 2002, and he beat Federer in the round of 16 that year and then lost to Agassi in the quarters. And he punctuates the game with an ace, saved a couple of breakers on serve in the second. And welcome back to Rod Laver Arena. And Roger Federer, who's not dropped a set, wins the opener 6-3 on serve 1-2. He'll be serving. Let's look at Federer's half of the draw this quarter.
Well, I think Tommy Haas is the most dangerous guy left on his entire side of the draw. As you see, the German has looked very solid here. He's got the most firepower, the most variety in his game out of these guys. He's on the comeback trail. Her body's won 3 5-setters. He'll take on Davydenko. A lot of workers in this section. You got Grosjean and Mathieu, the 2 Frenchmen, and Nicholas Kiefer, who had a win over Ferrero today, takes on Juan Ignacio Chela, the man who defeated Leighton Hewitt.
Tommy Haas, just a few years ago, before he suffered all those injuries, was the number 2 seed at the U.S. Open. Dick, you remember that. And the guy can play. So I totally agree with what you just said, P-Mac, and that is that he's going to be the toughest for Fed.
Well, he's got a good history before those injuries here in Melbourne. He made it to the semis twice in '99 and again in 2002, and seems to be back on that top form.
He looks very good, very fit. He's hitting the ball cleanly. New coach and Thomas Högstedt, the Swede, seems to have got him mentally on track, and that's really a key for Tommy. Not that we're looking ahead or anything.
No.
I mean, you know, we're not assuming that
Federer's
going to win this. No.
Yeah, he's going to have to improve his passing shots, that's for certain. Quickly to 40 love. Called by the umpire Carlos Bernardes as out. A love hold, it's 2-all.
I mentioned it in passing earlier, Patrick, but Mirnyi overall has been better in doubles play. I mean, he won the. In fact, he won the French last year.
Yeah, he's been a great doubles player. He's won a few slam titles.
The U.S. Open a couple of times.
With Jonas Borkman, they're the number 2 seeded doubles in the world to the Bryan twins, are they not? And he's ranked number 4 in the world as a doubles player. Wouldn't mind having him there with all that power, all that size.
Yeah, he's the kind of guy you want at net when you hit a good return. And you see the difference when he's had to. Look at this. I mean, we're so on it. You see the numbers change right before your eyes here. 2 of 8 on second serves. I have to imagine that the first serve percentage is going to start to come down. I mean, he's at 80% still.
Missed by Federer. Well, this was a treasured ticket tonight, as you can imagine. 15,000 plus packed at Rod Laver Arena, and there's another few thousand outside in the Garden Circle, Garden Square, with a big screen television, and the Saturday night party goes on. And it's the summer picnic in Melbourne. Fans having such a good time. And of all the slams, it's the one in which the little groups of nationalities, they come with their shirts and their flags, and we'll see a lot of that tomorrow when Roddick plays Baghdadis. A big Greek population here in Melbourne, and they've adopted Baghdadis, who is a Greek Cypriot, has relatives here in Melbourne, and they are very vocal. Roddick's already had fun kidding them about, hey, they're cheering against me and I haven't even played him yet. 2-all, 30-all here in the second set.
Well, Roddick's been having some fun with that. He's been saying, Dick, that you know, I've got these scantily clad girls that are there on my, you know, rooting for me, and he's got these guys, excuse me, who'd you rather have?
And those of you who have been watching our more than 100 hours of coverage during the day, the fans inside, they're in their bikinis and they do cheer for Andy.
You talking about the females or the males?
Well, yeah, they don't have much on either, do they? Yeah, they're very elegant, the ladies tonight.
Listen, when Roger Federer plays, I mean, you better get dressed up. You know, you got to be classy for this man. It's like going to the opera.
By the way, this indoor arena here hosts a lot of concerts and various other entertainment activities. And this man Mirnyi says that he's really into musicians, actors. He's taken singing lessons.
Plays a guitar.
Plays the guitar, exactly.
Unfortunately, the man across the net there is the conductor.
Exactly.
Little groan from Federer's end as he misses on that forehand return, and game point now for Mirnyi.
Now, Mirnyi's doing a very good job of mixing the serves up. Federer's he's not really on the return as he was in the opening set. Good second serve there out wide, surprised Roger.
But he's so consistent on the receiving end. How he diffuses the power, as Roddick well knows. Here's Mirnyi with only 4 aces with that huge serve. And I know a lot of critics back in the States say, you guys, all you do is praise Roger Federer, and you got all these wonderful, is there anything, what are you going to do?
Yeah, right.
I mean, just the game is so complete. Oh, look at that top spin. Down low.
There's one thing I don't like about Mirnyi's game so much is he guesses so early when he moves to the volley when his opponent's got a good look at a pass, and especially Federer, who has the ability to sort of hold that ball, to wait that extra split second. I'd like to see Mirnyi just hold his ground a little bit more at the net. He's got that wingspan. He could sort of lunge and dive and maybe get his racket on it.
And the double fault is his second and gives Federer the break chance.
Mirnyi hasn't had a break point yet. Roger's had his chances in this set. I wonder how much longer he's going to let Mirnyi get away with this. Oh, pretty solid.
Yeah, he went after that volley, didn't he? He just stuck that forehand volley. Got in quickly. Again, he knows that anything that he leaves hanging, Federer will make him pay. Good change up there on the serve. Took a little off of it, got it up high. Watch how quickly Mirnyi gets that big frame into net. Good ball, watch it kick up. Federer's got to reach for it. And Mirnyi's well inside the service line when he finishes that volley, almost on top of the net. That's Edberg-like.
See how much torque he gets in that body too on the serve toss. I mean, he bends his back, he bends his knees, and then he uses his entire frame when he comes into the ball. That's how he can juice it up so big.
Does a lot of yoga, Max.
Shows.
He's pretty flexible.
Longest game of the match now 4 deuces.
Thank you.
He knows the pressure of having to hold, because in 6 Federer service games in this match, Mirnyi has won 4 points. He hasn't won a point in this set on a Federer game. He has another add point.
He's just too tough if you give him that easier look.
Which way do I want to go? But even on the slow motion replay, the speed, the racket speed. Big Max running Federer around on that point.
Good scrambling by Roger to stay in it, but Mirnyi knew that Federer was way behind the baseline, and he just dumped it over. And a few times you'll see Federer not able to get to a ball with his incredible quickness.
Is that ankle 100%, you think?
I think so. I think he just got that there for precaution. Sprained it badly a couple of weeks after the U.S. Open, so we're getting ready for that fall indoor season in Europe in his hometown event of Basel.
Might have been a blessing in disguise.
Yeah, gave him some rest. And he came back and played at the Masters Cup in Shanghai after not really being able to practice for 4 or 5 weeks, and it showed in the final. He didn't have his normal fitness level and lost to Nalbandian in a 5-setter. Led 2 sets to love.
Only 3 unforced errors?
Is that a typo? Impeccable. Yep. So in this 6-deuce game, here's Federer with his 2nd break point.
You know, it was Andre Agassi that messed up his ankle. That's why he's not down here playing racquetball or squash, one of the two. And you know he misses it, because this has been his, Agassi's, most successful slam. What a hand to Mirnyi. He's played these big points very well. I mean, look at that, 5 break chances that Federer has had here. We haven't played 4 games in the set, and Fed still hasn't broken.
And won the opening set just on 1 break game. So Mirnyi holding his ground, but the pressure always on from Federer. Open court, and he's still able to stab it.
That was something there. Mirnyi thought he was going to go right at him. He was looking to protect himself. Said Rogers, I'm too good a buddy of yours, Max. I'm not going to peg you, but I will pass you.
Yeah, the big man was covering up.
How much longer can he hang on?
Marathon game. 7 deuces and another break point for Federer. And again on the big point, Mirnyi finds the goods.
Really had Federer fooled here too. He was looking for it out wide, didn't even move for that. That's very unusual.
20 points in this game.
Mirnyi.
Federer taking a look at that service line. Thought maybe the serve was long, but didn't get a call. Let's see what ShotSpot says. It was right on the line. Have to take big risk on the second serve if you're Mirnyi, and that was one there. Oh, that's just spectacular. The balance there, because Mirnyi got that volley pretty deep, and Federer watches almost sort of leaning back as he hits this shot, and he's still in total control of his body. Look at this. He's moving backwards, but still keeping his head right on the ball.
And his shoulder sideways.
Yeah.
I mean, that's such a huge lesson, as you said. Head down, keep it still.
One of the longest games of the entire championship. 23rd point, 9 deuces.
Advantage Federer.
And the #1 player in the world has his 4th chance to break in this long game. That is consumed 14 minutes. It's about as long as most of the sets against Federer.
That's right.
The 10th deuce.
Just take a look at how much torque there is in this serve now. Just look at this. They go down, arms go down together and then up together. But at this point here, let's give us a freeze on this one. Do you see how much knee bend there is in this? The ball is up, and look how much room there is for this whole body, upper body, to turn into the ball. That's good, guys. Thanks.
Advantage Mirnyi.
Well, in this marathon game, on a couple of occasions, we've heard the first barks of disappointment from Federer's end, unhappy with himself. And finally, Mirnyi prevails, surviving 4 break points against, and it's 3-2. The Garden City on this Saturday night, Melbourne, Victoria, Australia. Wonderful host for the Australian Open. Everybody has a good time, including Luke Jensen.
Hey, thanks, Dick. One of the great things about watching Roger Federer is really just to isolate him. Don't watch the ball going back and forth. I just watch how he moves around the court, where he hits the right shot in the right place at the right time. When he's on the defense, he just plays for positioning, and then he gets offensive when he's inside the baseline or right on the baseline. So many times when you can just study his footwork, the way he hits the ball, it is just amazing. After watching James Blake last night, where James was hitting and misfiring all the time.
All right, thanks, Luke. Good to have you down there at courtside. And it is a temptation for all of us fans to follow the ball, so we don't see, and it's true of all sports, and sometimes you say, I'm not going to watch the ball this time, I'm going to watch the athlete, and Federer will give your eyes plenty of nice things to see. Again, in this set, Federer, now in his 3rd service game, has not surrendered a single point to Mirnyi.
So Mirnyi's service game took, what, about 16 minutes?
Right.
This one, what, about 48 seconds?
16 seconds to 16 minutes.
40-15.
in the match. Mirnyi has served twice as many points as Federer.
Oh.
Game.
Too easy.
Federer.
3-all. He does, Federer, with this excellence, reduces the crowd to an audience.
Yeah, but an appreciative audience.
Yes, no.
You don't have to be a tennis fan, do you, to appreciate this guy's ability as an athlete.
He's beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Winter Olympics coming up, and we'll sit and admire the beauty of the great athlete and all of those winter events. And you know, the stars just, they have that extra. They have the it.
Oh, what a shot.
Half volley lob from the baseline.
Yeah.
Routine, right?
Comes up with a little something new for us. And that, by the way, had some stick on it, that volley. Making it that much more difficult to control. Look at the amount of points played on serve. 68 now for Mirnyi.
Missed it.
And a love 30 opening for Federer. That was a tough chance on that volley. It was jammed, and he almost converted.
Interesting. You hear Mirnyi say, "Come on and hang in there." That's what you're doing against Federer. You're hanging in there.
It's like your corner man in a fight. Not touching you, kid. And check the referee, because somebody's beating the heck out of me.
No!
You are kidding. Okay, I don't want my money back. I did get my money's worth.
A looky. Oh.
Look at this.
He is moving in one direction and hitting the ball in another, and he can still generate the juice.
How strong is that wrist and forearm?
Mirnyi erases one, break point.
15 points.
That previous play by Federer, any normal human, that ball's going to slice, and that ball was straight as an arrow. He struck it. I mean, there was no movement on it, right or left, straight down the line. You know what? I think he liked it too.
Yeah.
And the double fault gives Federer the break here in the second set, with one incredibly magnificent shot from Federer. We might see it again. A taste of genius. And I guess when you see it on replay, it doesn't really do itself justice. And you see how he was able to control the ball in such a difficult position in which he struck it.
15 love.
Tony Roach was an outstanding player himself, a multiple Grand Slam doubles winner.
Who was his regular partner?
John Newcomb mostly.
Formidable team, huh? Yep.
Oh, yeah. Huge backhand volley.
Latin versus.
Federer is working on a service shutout in this set. Yet to give up a single point. This is his 4th game in the set. Another love game.
Federer leads by 5 games.
Single break in each set. And Federer now 4 points from a 2-set lead.
Yeah, but you've been pointing out, you're quite right, Dick. If you look at the break points won, I mean, Federer's just had them all over the place. And how many break points against Fed?
Yeah, I mean, how many points?
Right.
Mirnyi, in fact, has done a good job. 11 break points, and Federer only converting 2, but that's been enough for the what now looks to be a sizable lead.
15 love.
You think Federer will perspire if we go deep into the 3rd set?
Doubtful.
Oh, there's some magic. Mirnyi says, how about this circus act?
Oh, just spectacular reflex from this guy's toe, but look at this. Off of the that's really athletic. Look at this. That's great stuff.
On his knees when he makes contact.
Follow the ball. Isn't that what you coach, Cliff?
Mm-hmm.
Just missed.
That backhand that Federer hit in the last game, though, has broken this thing wide open. That gave him left 40, and then inevitably he broke, and now total control.
Federer's just trying shots now.
Yeah, exactly. Just what I was thinking.
Tried to chip return on the last point, the forehand cross court, and he just missed it. And he just absolutely knifes a backhand return down the line with slice.
It's like, let me show you what I got here. Let me show you the whole array now. Ho hum.
It seems like he has so much time.
How is that? I'd like to get him in one of those visual tests. I mean, 2020 is doggone good. He must be about 2010.
Yeah, good point.
He must see the ball differently than normal folks. It's like, you know, the great hitters in baseball.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
But Mirnyi in the struggle, holds, and threw in that spectacular volley at the net off one knee. Federer serves for a 2-set lead when we come back. Put a little music behind this. Return to sender.
Well, not only the great returning, but the variety from Federer on the return. The backhand blocks it down low. He can chip with the backhand as well, take some pace off of the serve, and then set up the passing shot as he does here. Brilliant on that backhand.
And this is against a guy who's no slouch in the serving department.
And no slouch in the volleying department either. And Federer just picking his spots, continuing. This was the one. Oh, let's joke time.
That's the angle for appreciation. He wasn't running laterally along the baseline. He was moving away from the net as he made that shot. And Mirnyi with a bad miss
15 love.
gives Federer 3-point edge to the set.
Mirnyi actually had a chance to win a point on Federer's serve. That would have been the second of the set.
I must have missed the first. I thought he was shooting a shutout here.
I got 11 to 12 on first serve points on my stat sheet.
Yeah, that's the official count. Oh, I did. Yes, at 2-3, Federer at 40 love gave up a point. 40-15.
Oh, God, he's so sloppy on his serve.
4-2 love.
That is remarkable. He's 1 point away from maneuvering through an entire set and sacrificing 1 point. 2.
40-50.
That is his first unforced error the entire set. Only his fourth of the entire match.
That's, if he only got to the ball quicker, you know.
6-4. And this audience does applaud the continuing genius of the #1 player in the world. 6-3, 6-4, Federer. And welcome back to Rod Laver Arena. Deep in thought, Roger Federer on his way to the round of 16, and Tommy Haas with a couple of sets. And Mirnyi, I mean, how much better can the big man play? He's given what he has, and it's not been bad.
Yeah, I thought what you were saying earlier about his eyes, you know, and it sort of introduces the question, Patrick, how much can you learn from, I mean, a guy like Federer, is it just nature that's given him all this talent, or can you learn this stuff?
I think it's nature. You know, I think that's it's just amazing how he sees the ball. He picks up the ball a little bit earlier than most people. You know, when you think of the great returners, obviously think of Connors, you think of Agassi, and they were probably the two best I've ever seen. But Federer, to me, sort of almost taking it to another level because he has more variety. You know, he can slice it, he can play some offense, he can also, you know, go for the clean winners off the return. But no, I guess you can't teach it, no, Cliff, but you could certainly try to learn a few things from Federer if you're watching.
Will the rest of the field learn those things from him, do you think? I mean, they've got to be, the coaches have got to be looking at him and saying, well, gee, if we do it this way, we could be, you know, we should tell our guys to do it that way. There are certain mechanical, technical things that I think you can learn from Federer. One of them is his follow through on the forehand side, on the way that he takes it across his body.
Mirnyi opens the third set.
Well, the other thing he's showed everybody, Cliff, is when you have the variety in your game, when you can use the slice. You know, for a number of years, we were thinking, oh, the slice is dead. It's a defensive shot. And now you see Federer using that, using also the inside of the court with the slice. In other words, bringing his opponents forward with that slice. We haven't seen that today because, of course, Mirnyi is coming forward so much. But that's been a big part of Federer's repertoire, which has caused headaches for players. Just not used to having to hit that ball that skids and lands short.
And he doesn't take it quite as early as Agassi, but boy, he doesn't give you much time to react, does he? And
well, Agassi was always looking to be offensive on the return if he had something to hit. Federer is just once in a while he'll look to be offensive, but mostly he's looking to set up the rest of the point.
P-Mac, what you just said, I think Dick is it's going to be a very interesting match to watch him take on Haas, because he's going to have to use more of his arsenal of shots.
They'll be playing on Monday, Haas and Federer in the round of 16, assuming Roger continues on this course. And a rare shot off that backhand wing that flies long. He gets so much action on it, he keeps the ball in play. Not that time. Luke Jensen's down there. I wonder if Luke could borrow one thing of all the many talents of Federer. What one asset would he grab?
Oh.
Here's an early break chance for Federer to open the third.
Another blocked return down low, and watch how quickly Federer takes this ball. And Mirnyi's just guessing. He's looking for the cross-court pass. Federer stepping into the court, a couple of quick little steps.
And the break by Federer to take the lead in this third set. How about it, Luke?
Well, one thing, that was a great setup. If I could take one thing, it would be the footwork. He is so very fast. But one great advantage he does have in a slam, it's a 2-week event, best of 5 sets. He doesn't use much energy. Watch the way he hits the ball. And he consistently talks about that as a weapon. He'll go through the first week, and he doesn't. Look the way he hits the ball. So fluid, so much rhythm. He's so smooth. So when he needs the next level in the second week, he's got basically another gear.
I mean, he's got a couple other gears. I mean, that's what we saw at the U.S. Open last year in that final against Agassi. Agassi led 4-2 in the third, 30 love on serve, and all of a sudden Federer just clicked it up. And bingo, the set was over, and the fourth set was over in about 11 minutes.
I can remember in the post-match interviews and presentation, I went over to Andre, and he just was glassy-eyed and obviously disappointed in defeat. And he said, I couldn't believe what happened. I said, what do you mean? He said, but all of a sudden, late in that set, when I thought I had a chance, I started playing a different player. He just became so much better.
Oh, beautiful. Very nice.
And for the first time in this entire match, Mirnyi is ahead on the scoreboard on a Federer service game. 15-30.
Guys are good friends. They probably practice a lot together, which helps Mirnyi maybe pick the passing shots of Roger.
I have found, though, one negative statistic from Roger Federer's career.
Oh, come on.
No! Unrelenting defense from the world's best.
Now, let me hear this, Dick.
All right, here's one time in all the studies we've done here where he is not in positive figures. Roger Federer in his career is 8 and 9 in 5-setters.
Wow.
I was surprised.
Yeah. Raising my eyebrows at that one.
Trying to remember the last 5-setter he's played in a slam. That he.
Well, it was 5 sets. He lost to Nalbandian, but that was in a slam.
Well, he lost to Safin in 5 here last year.
Yeah. So we found the weakness.
We've just got to win those 2 sets.
But it's interesting, in all his Grand Slam activity, he's only been in 17 five-setters. He gets his work complete much sooner than most.
I have the feeling that he's learning to put the clamps on a match a little earlier.
Thank you.
Like in the warm-up, or
On the walkout.
right? Well, he came out with his antennas up at the beginning of this match, did Federer. Knowing that you know, Mirnyi could pose him some problems.
Yeah, he missed the first serve. Yeah, it's 30-15.
Paul McNamee, the tournament director, the chief executive of the Australian Open, a fine player in his day, done a terrific job in building this Grand Slam up to where it fits with all the others in New York, Paris, and London. One time was not regarded as the quality of what we have seen the last few years under McNamee's leadership.
Oh, come on, that's sick.
That's a sliced lob.
Look at the Swiss fans. I mean, you just never know what he's going to come up with. Come on. The ingenuity and the creativity is equally as impressive as the talent. You know, the shot making. Just to think up the shots.
Look at him. He's upset because he didn't deliver that blocked return, and Mirnyi has a game point at 40-30. And a hold for Mirnyi, but he's down a break here in the third, and Federer leading 2 sets to love. Federer double set lead and up a break here in the third, and there were many comparisons during the course of the 2005 season. Federer's great success with John P. McEnroe back 21 years prior. McEnroe, the best ever percentage in a season, lost only 3 times in '84. And Federer, it was right there after McEnroe. If he beats Nalbandian and that Masters Cup, they would have matched records 82-3. But Nalbandian in 5 sets the victor. So Federer has something else to shoot for in the future.
Well, John said, I still got him. I still got him on 1 record. I still got 1 on him.
But what's important there is to appreciate how tremendous McEnroe was in those early 80s.
Both of them coming up short at the French Open that year. Respective years. Federer, of course, losing to Nadal last year, and my brother losing that heartbreak to Lendl in the '84 final.
Haunts him to this day, doesn't it?
Yep.
When he had him 2 sets in a break.
Yeah.
Rod Laver won the Grand Slam. That's all 4 in 1 year twice. Said that if Federer does it, it will be a much more significant achievement than his slams because the fields are so much deeper now. And I would judge that John, your brother, might say the same thing.
I would think so, yeah.
You think how difficult it is to win all 4 majors in a single season. Only Laver did twice, and Don Budge on the men's side. 37 years since it's been accomplished. Federer just missing on the volley, and if he wins here, that's going to be the talk of the tennis world all the way into Paris, isn't it?
Yeah.
As we know, he can win Wimbledon and the U.S.
Ooh. So loose points from Federer. The first time he's really played 2 errors in a row.
And the first break point for Mirnyi in the match.
Thank you.
And he gets a second ball. Let's see if he'll charge in behind it.
Great second serve. He sensed that, Dick, what you said, that Mirnyi was looking to charge, and he kicked it out wide. But see, that to me, we were talking about this earlier, Cliff, why Mirnyi hasn't had much success at Wimbledon. That's why. He's too inconsistent on the return, trying to take a huge swing there on break point, your first chance. You got to make that. Just get it in play. Get in the point. He's too hit or miss on the return, Mirnyi. You know, he tries to either crank a winner or chip and charge. He doesn't really have that sort of middle ground. You know, play it safe, sort of neutralize the serve, get in the point.
He has a bit of a bluff approach too, isn't it?
Federer survives the only break scare, if you could even refer to it as that, in the entire match. And we look ahead. Men's and women's round of 16. Join us for more live coverage tonight from here in Melbourne, the 2006 Open, 10 Eastern on ESPN2, and U.S. #1 and #1 in the world, Lindsay Davenport, against U.S. Open champion 2 years ago, Svetlana Kuznetsova. And we'll see Andy Roddick as well, as he goes against a very delightful guy to watch, that Marcos Baghdad.
Yeah, that's going to be jumping.
Watching him play.
You can have all these fans rocking here.
Yeah.
And
he's got some game.
They rock for Roddick also. It's going to be a fun match.
It's like Federer just sort of emptying out their arsenal now, just trying to
15 all.
almost like a practice set here, just trying to crank up some shots, ripping the return of serve there.
What impressed me on that point, Patrick, he had guessed wide and had taken a full step to his left and still could react on a big serve and make a terrific return. Federer in his career with 34 titles, along with those 6 Grand Slams. He's tied with Michael Chang, 14th most all time. Mirnyi has won 1 time, 1 career title.
Beautiful.
Big Max won at Rotterdam 3 years ago.
Love the way the Beast closed here, got in, got down low. You like that, huh, Cliff?
Yeah,
Beast?
Beast will do that, you know.
Yeah, oh, yeah, he'll do that to you.
Another nice volley as he slaps that one in the corner, but it's Federer in the lead, 3-2 in the third. And welcome back. Melbourne close to midnight. And inside Rod Laver Arena, fans full appreciation for Roger Federer, the #1 player in the world, playing up to that high stratosphere. And Max Mirnyi's giving them a good fight. But it's Federer well in the lead. Look at Andy Roddick. We're going to be seeing him later tonight in action from U.S. time. And there's his quarter, gentlemen.
Interesting quarter. I mean, I think it's going to be entertaining against Baghdad. This will be a little test. I like Roddick. Lubicic, Johansson. I'm thinking a 5-setter in that one.
I'm liking Lubicic in that.
Are you? I might go with the Swede there. Who do you like coming out of the top section there, Cliff?
I am going to take David and Malbandian out of that one.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Robredo. I think Robredo's. Well, you're shocked. You're surprised, huh?
Yeah.
I was impressed by him. His win over
You didn't
Blake.
watch his win in China over Fed in the final?
I did see that, but I think he's had a couple long matches. I think Robredo looks very strong. I think he's been knocking on the door to break through at a major.
I just want to see Fabrice Santoro play.
Oh, that's true. That's the magician.
We couldn't be that lucky.
Is he fun?
You guys were
quickly to 30 love.
You guys were talking about the beast, and he says people tell me I should smile more, and I try to incorporate it more in my life. Perhaps the way I act on the court, people have the impression that I'm serious, but I'm not really.
Did that drop in?
Yes, it did.
From that angle, gets enough juice on this one to parachute it on the line.
Edger.
And another just lightning fast love game for Federer.
Dick, the thing that you were pointing out just a little while ago, I'm still astounded by it's the lack of unforced errors from Federer in this match. I mean, he doesn't get much cleaner than this.
8 unforced errors in the entire match, and you match that up against 43 winners, 43-8.
Guillermo Vilas and his wife Bien Petu, they are parents of a sweet little child, Guillermo. BMAC, as we were saying the other day, to the extent that this court is friendly to spinners, he'd have liked this.
He would have liked this.
He got a lot of spin in his game.
35 zip in the differential, Dick.
That's like the turnover differential in football.
It's a 5-touchdown lead here.
You got it. You know, I thought the same about Borg when I first admired his great talent back in the late 70s and covering the French and Wimbledon. That you transpose that talent to some of the American sports. I thought Bjorn Borg's shortstop, leadoff hitter.
Yeah, right.
He could hit some line drives. You knew he could have covered the entire left side of the diamond.
A few stolen bases, maybe.
Yeah. And how about Federer? What couldn't he play? He was an outstanding soccer player and loved basketball as well as a kid.
Too long.
I forget they talked about Borg's pulse rate being like about 40, and I'm wondering what Fed's is, because Borg could play day in and day out.
Thank you.
Best of 5-set matches with no problem.
He doesn't talk much about it, nor does he want any credit. But word is that Federer, it isn't all just genes and natural talent, that the man puts in his work regimen to be this good.
And he's gotten more and more serious about it in the last couple of years.
You know, the other thing that is really important that people don't appreciate about him, he's so professional. He paces himself so well. He doesn't play too much. And as Patrick was pointing out earlier, when he commits to an event, he gets there early enough to make sure that he gives himself the best chance to win it.
Big service game for Mirnyi. Just delaying the inevitable as it's 4-3 in the third. Federer up a break in the third, leading by 2 sets against Max Mirnyi. As a kid, gentlemen, there was nothing I dreamed about more than the summer fair. We had the old Armada County Fair, and go to the fun house. Now here's Roger's fun house. Look at this.
And we could add a few shots to the fun house tonight. The slice lob, that's one. And then, of course, this one was that just ridiculous backhand on the front. Come into the funhouse. If you're the opposition, you'll be nicked and you'll be knacked. You won't come out alive.
Yeah, he's gonna. He'll be buying the cotton candy tonight.
Yeah.
And there'll be more. Bruised and battered. But all of them appreciative. You don't hear any of those opponents say a sour word against this man. No gamesmanship. He just does it all right. You know, it's a fortunate time for us as fans, isn't it, that in the 2 big individual sports, golf and tennis, we've got a Tiger Woods with all his genius and brilliance and the shot making he has, and chasing Jack Nicklaus, and it's almost that same court. Here's Federer going after Sampras.
And they're right about at the same level, too.
They are.
Almost halfway there.
Halfway there.
Yep.
2 just tremendous talents, and we're so lucky to be able to enjoy that.
30-15.
Federer being younger man. Woods now an old guy at 30.
Yeah, he's got a few years left in him, though. What's he at 10 now? 10 majors? I think he's 10, and it's
he's going after the 18 of
right.
Nicklaus. Just long.
I think they'll both do it. I think they'll both get there.
Yeah, health is the biggest question, and you just hope that these 2 superstars can stay sound.
Well, Cliff will know because he hobnobs with Jack at his house. Nicklaus has a grass tennis court at his house.
I did know that. Yeah. I did know that. He's a big fan.
Yeah.
Jack will play until the lights go down.
Leads by 5 games to 3.
By the way, you guys are talking about the excellence of a guy like Federer. You know, for 6 years, Patrick, you end up with Pete Sampras, the top player in the world, and at the end of that 6 years, we're all saying, at least I was anyway, how can anybody ever accomplish this? And here's Federer. We're talking him in terms not only of Sampras now, but of Lever, and going back in true historic terms.
Well, that's what you said, Patrick, at the very start tonight. It's every time he walks on the court, we are companions in possible history. I mean, this is a delicious time for us. Well, Mirnyi battling to the end, and he takes another penetrating return from Federer. Just how does he have so much time? I mean, that Mirnyi serve has people befuddled and on their heels, and most of the top players, and Federer not once tonight does he seem not able to take a good crack at a return.
He's only been ace 5 times, Federer, in that big Mirnyi serve, and Mirnyi, the percentage has been excellent. He's at 69% for the match.
We want to see somebody step up to the plate and challenge the
Sure
Fed,
we
don't
do. Sure.
We don't want him winning everything.
He hit the he faked the slice lob there. And Mirnyi started to go backwards. Watch this. Mirnyi starts to think, okay, he's going to do the slice lob again. Look, he starts going back. And then no.
And the trajectory again on a dead line. No left, no right. It's the kind of shot that you expect it to slice a little bit wide.
And now to match point.
If these Australian fans are appreciating what they're seeing, you got these fans out there going, hey, that reminded me of Lou Hode or Ken Rosewall, the Rocket. This is what he's pulling out in this third set.
They do. They have a deep history in Australia for the great past champions. They understand this game very well. They know what they're seeing. And genius is not too strong a word.
Another match point. Now that was out of character. On match point, his biggest miss of the match.
Thank you.
And a third match point.
Just watch the way Federer's wrist just sort of snaps as he makes contact. Sort of lifts his racket up. Get that little extra pace on the ball. Bring it down into the court.
Hello. The punctuation mark at the 149 mark of this set. Max Mirnyi broken only 4 times. Federer 3-4 and 3 advances to the round of 16. And if you love tennis, you've just enjoyed another Federer symphony. Beautiful music. Standing ovation, this crowd of 15,000 at Rod Laver, and isn't it interesting that here's a man being compared to the Rocket, many feel the greatest of all time, playing on the court named after Laver in a manner that I'm sure the redhead would be first to say makes him proud. Well, we got much more to come, including Kim Clijsters, the number 2 seed on the women's side, who's been playing with injury, and we have her in action as well. So there's the draw in the Federer quarter.
Well, Tommy Haas again. That's going to be a fun match because Haas is really hitting the ball cleanly. He's an all-court player. He's played well down here before. He's on the comeback trail. Her body, Davydenko. I think I like Davydenko in that one, but Federer, again, just looking absolutely brilliant. Another Federer smorgasbord on center court here.
And we'll have our final comments, and then, of course, some added action. Kim Clijsters. Roger Federer has won again. Roger Federer, true to his superb form in straight sets, has yet to lose a set in his 3 matches, moves on to the round of 16. Max Mirnyi played as well as he can and gave him a good go, but it was the brilliance of Federer and how tasteful some of those shots were.
And specifically that shot that you just saw, Dick, because that's what opened this thing up for him and gave him a break point. So he gets the break in the second set. That's virtually over. If you get once he gets the break, that's it. And that's how it turned out to be. Mirnyi tried everything. I mean, I was impressed with the way, these guys are great friends, as we talked about, but it's simply not enough. It is simply not enough against the Raj.
And unforced errors, a total of 10 in the match by Federer. He really got careless in that third set.
Well, very sloppy.
Yeah, there.
Right.
What were your thoughts?
Well, I mean, to me, it's amazing to watch Federer just dissect an opponent. And if it's someone from the back of the court, he brings them forward. He makes them uncomfortable. Against Mirnyi, he just started to read the serve better. He started to read where Mirnyi was looking to guess, when he was at net. And that's the genius of Federer. Not just the shot making and not just the variety, but the way he can dissect opponents. I've never seen someone that can make his opponents look so uncomfortable. And a lot of that, of course, is the talent and the variety that he has in his game. But a lot of it, too, is upstairs and how smart he is as a tennis player.
Well, and that brings us around to who will have the game to challenge him. And, of course, Andy Roddick is the number 2 seed. But we've seen, and Roddick has said, hey, at Wimbledon, I play better than I did the year before, and I still can't dent the guy.
Wimbledon helps Roddick, too, because it's a grass court. And if the guy can serve out of a tree and keep serving that way, well, then you'd think that he should have a shot against anybody. But it hasn't proven to be that way. Now, I like Haas. Tommy Haas has played some really good stuff. So I think that Haas is going to give him as much trouble as anybody potentially in this field, and the Haas is coming up for Federer now.
Well, I just want to say, Cliff, you've been my idol for so many years, and to finally get the opportunity,
what an honor for me to
be with the captain. It's been great fun. I hope we get a chance to do it again.
Definitely.
And we have much more tennis here on ESPN2 as part of our more than 100 hours of coverage of this great championship. And Kim Clijsters, the number 2 seed, she's been playing injured, but playing very well, has not lost a set coming into her match today, and we're going to pick up Kim Clijsters, and can she challenge Lindsay Davenport, the number 1 seed in this championship? That's coming up next.